White Bear Township Board meeting.
Make sure Kenny is ready.
He was standing at the door there, so I think he was ready.
Let's see. Bill, do we have any adjustments or changes to the agenda?
Nope, just additional information that's included in your supplement.
Okay.
Except for I thought Dale wanted to delete item
Oh,
B1, 7B1.
yeah.
If we could remove the item, I'm sorry.
So 7B1,
Yes.
that's regarding the tandem axle dump truck purchase,
Correct.
so we'll delete that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, with that change, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there a motion to approve payment of bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of paying the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. The minutes for the well, we have 2 minutes. We have a special town board meeting on January 4th. Any corrections or additions to that?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
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 And that's approval of the January 4 special town board meeting. And then we have the January 4 regular town board meeting. Any corrections to that? Or
Seeing none. Motion to approve.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor of accepting those minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is 5, and that's the consent agenda. Steve, would you read that, please?
Yes. Item 5A, call a public hearing for Wednesday, February 17th, 2016, at 7:10 PM at Heritage Hall, 4200 Otter Lake Road, to hear a request for a conditional use permit at Tamarack Nature Center. Item 5B, call the Board of Audit meeting for Friday, February 26, 2016, at 11:55 a.m. at the Township Administrative Offices, 1281 Hammond Road. Item 5C, based on staff review and recommendation, approve the disposal of surplus town equipment at a State of Minnesota surplus services auction as outlined in the staff memo, with proceeds being deposited into the general fund. Item 5D, based on staff review and recommendations, designate the institutions outlined in the staff memo and adopt a resolution designating persons to handle township bank accounts. And I'll read those institutions. First, would recommend that the U.S. Bank, White Bear Lake, 4700 Clark Avenue, be the official depository for 2016. It's recommended by the Town Board Office designate the following institutions to handle township funds: Wells Fargo Bank in Minneapolis, Morgan Stanley Smith Barney in Minneapolis, UBS Financial Services, Inc. in Wayzata, North Star Bank, no address, RBC Wealth Management in Minnetonka, 4M Fund in Albertville, Minnesota, Northland Securities, Inc. in Minneapolis, and Landmark Community Bank, that's on Meadowland Drive, the other one, and Lake Area Bank and Bremer Bank. The addresses are listed on page 26 of our material. Item 5E, adopt a resolution not recognizing Columbus Day as a holiday. Item 5F, adopt a resolution recognizing the Friday after Thanksgiving as a holiday. And item 5G, receive $50 donation from Richard Bruckner for purchases of prizes for the school carnival. Make a motion to approve those consent agenda items.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that takes us to item 6, old business. And the first item is regarding a hobby kennel license review at 3912 Effris Road.
All right, at the July 6th, the town board meeting, the town board approved a hobby kennel license at 3912 Ephras with several conditions. One of the conditions was that it would be reviewed in 6 months, and the 6 months today is today, or this meeting. We can also report that town staff has contacted Mario Lee, Community Service Officer, Animal Control, regarding the property. He stated that he's received no complaints. Neither have we received complaints at the town offices.
So the only action to take there is just to receive that report then?
Yes, received the report indicating that they have satisfied the 6-month review. The board may want to make a statement regarding performing the 6-month review, and if you're satisfied that that requirement's been met.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? So, is there a motion then to recognize the 6-month review and accept the results and approve continuation of the license? Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's no discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item 6B, regarding Ramsey County compost site. Tom, is that yours?
Yes, I'll take that. I'll get it started.
Town planner?
Back in late 2013, the town reviewed and ended up approving in January of 2014 a conditional use permit to allow an expansion of the service up at the Ramsey County compost site in the township off of County Road J and Sherwood Road. This is the compost facility where people are allowed to take yard waste, tree waste for drop-off, and then also you can pick up finished compost, wood chips, and fill dirt when it's available. The 2013 review and approval on 14 added the service of organics collection on site up at the compost facility. This is basically collection of food waste in compostable bags, food waste, paper waste, things of that nature that can be separated from other refuse and dropped in a special dumpster up at the compost site. That, when approved in 2014, was a 2-yard dumpster. It is now a 4-yard dumpster as the service has picked up in the pace. More materials being delivered there. Dumpsters are serviced once per week. When the town approved the conditional use permit in January of 2014, it was subject to a number of conditions, including approval was subject to review of the conditional use permit and actually the use and service up there on a yearly basis. That was done in January of 15, and the second review is scheduled for this evening's meeting. I'll introduce John Springman with Ramsey County. He put together a report that's in your supplemental packet that summarizes the collection that's been going on and the whole situation up there at the county site.
John Springman, Ramsey County, 2785 Waybear Avenue North. If anybody has any questions, I guess I'd be here to answer those at this point.
Actually, John, how close are you, or do you feel it's going to be necessary down the road here to start implementing another curbside container for residents?
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Prudhomme, currently, I think I'd say the most aggressive position on that right now, the City of St. Paul is going to be revisiting this in 2017, which in turn will lead to more of a route density for haulers to be able to pick up in neighboring communities also, which is what it's all about. If you recall from a previous meeting, there was a moratorium that municipalities were supposed to start some sort of organics collection program in 2017. And our department has since backed off on that some just because the infrastructure just isn't in place right now for a community to do that and do it efficiently without the hauling and a transfer station locally to, I guess, accept the material and then move it off to the sites that can physically compost it. So it is coming, but I don't have anything on the radar right now as far as other municipalities in Ramsey County and when that's going to occur. We have noticed, though, if you notice the report, that our quantities, our participation has doubled since we started doing this, and it's not just the White Bear Township site, it's the other locations too. And some of these locations, even during the winter hours, are receiving over 400 visits a weekend of people just dropping off organics at the sites, so at one particular site. So it is growing. I think there's a lot of interest in it, and eventually curbside would be more efficient than having people come to these yard waste sites, drop the material off, when you consider the carbon footprint behind that versus dragging it out to your curb. But again, you've got to have a route that's going to end up with a garbage truck being full enough or have enough capacity filled so it's worthwhile for it to drive all the way down to one of the industrial compost facilities that need to take this and compost it.
Well, I think you'd get a lot more participation if you had your own, obviously, container to put out, but would that be done under our local hauler then?
Correct, Mr. Prudhon. It would be something that would either be organized through a city that would have their own organized collections or their own contracted hauler. It could even be written into a contract with a hauler, or haulers that are currently being used by residents. If the Trojes, for example, is one that does organics hauling, and if there was enough interest, and again, they could develop enough of a route out of it, they would definitely do it just to stay in the game, because I think they realize that's where things are going, and to be competitive in the industry, they're going to probably start collecting.
'Cause I gotta believe you'd probably start out on an every other week basis like recycling anyway then?
Correct. What we're seeing, it's interesting, this winter, our hours are scaled back to weekends only. So we've seen a drop in participation because you're just not available to receive those people as frequently as we are during our regular season hours. So they're limited to coming in just on the weekends. But we're seeing the same amount of volume that we see any other time of year. So people are continuing to do this and not dropping off over the winter. They're just hanging on to it and coming in on the weekends to deliver it. So they are engaged once they get going on this. And that's why we've had to recently upscale the container from a 2-yard to a 4-yard, because we were reaching just beyond that 2-yard capacity, and it hasn't slowed down over the winter months. And that way we can also kind of gauge how many households throughout the county are actually using this, because everybody's generating this over the course of a week, and then they're bringing it in on weekend, and they're doing the same thing the next week, and they're not saving it for 2 weeks and coming in once a month. It's got to be delivered almost weekly because of the yuck factor behind it. And also, you just won't have the capacity to store that much of it around the house. You've got
Well, that's where I was going with this, because if it was an option where residents could even just pick up a container that they would keep at home to at least store it outside securely, that might generate them, or at least motivate them more to store it and then take it, versus having to deal with it for a whole week, and what do you do with it?
Sure, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Prudhon, what we started doing this last year is having promotional events now, where we actually are giving out as many as 1,000 of these countertop buckets that residents can use to transport the material back and forth. And it's a promotional thing to get them interested in it and start them on the process. And then I think what we're looking at now is increasing that from this small kitchen countertop container to something that would receive a week's capacity, if not more, where they could put it outside, and it might be lockable so you wouldn't have animals getting into it, and they did have a little bit more, I guess, convenience of use. However, the reality is, especially in the summer, without freezing the stuff, about a week is all you can do in these compostable bags that it goes in, because they start to deteriorate after that, so you almost have to bring it in weekly.
Well, how are you getting this out to the residents for these containers?
We will be doing that again this spring. We've actually ordered, I think this round is going to be more like 2,000 because it was so successful last year. So we promoted, and then it's at the actual yard waste sites where they would come and pick up those containers. And they're left with the container, packet that tells them everything about how this works. Inside that packet, there's some biodegradable bags that come with it, and then what we accept, what we don't accept, and we even have a punch card that if they get 5 punches on this card, which means 5 deliveries to the site, they get a free T-shirt that says some organics message on the back of it. And that was extremely successful last year, and that's why we're doubling that amount coming into the spring. So those containers will be available again this spring, just again to get the word out. And the limiting factor seems to be people just not aware of how to do it and how to store it before they have to bring it to the site, and these containers really seem to get around that issue for them.
John, it looks like you've been successful in promoting this thing. It's, the increase from 2014 to 2015 is, well, like you mentioned, it's approximately doubled, almost across the board for all the municipalities around here. Have you developed any additional forecasts or projections of where this is going this year and next year?
Chair Kermis, right now, we're seeing just from our trending on this is we're starting to level out. It was, you know, a steep increase that first year because people were finding out about it, and this year we've increased quite a bit. But we're starting to see that we're all of a sudden we're no longer increasing the size or number of containers at some of the busier sites, and to me that tells me that there's interest there, but not nearly as much as before. So, you know, we estimated at the onset of all this that we could see as many as 1,200 households, you know, interested in this program. And if you look at how many people are using the sites on the weekends during the winter hours, it's around 900. So I would estimate between 900 and 1,000 households are currently using it. And there is going to be a point where, you know, convenience balances with, you know, what other, you know, means of management would be for this material, basically putting it in the trash. So curbside would you know, bump this, you know, off the chart compared to what we're doing right now because of the convenience of taking it out to the curb, where a lot of people, I think, are hesitant to participate because of the sorting of the material, the storing of it in their house until they have an opportunity to bring it in, and then taking that trip to the yard waste site to deliver it, where if you could roll it out to the end of your curb, I think it would, you know, increase dramatically. What this has shown is, yeah, there are a lot of people interested in doing this, and it's just, you know, how far do they want to go, what amount of trouble to actually do it.
Okay. So for the site itself, for both compost disposal and the organics disposal, the site is adequate to meet the
Mr. Chair,
demands
yes,
for the...
so far, we haven't really noticed, because our volumes on participation are so huge with just what comes in on yard waste compared to this, you really don't notice the difference, because, and a lot of it is a one-stop shop where people are coming there anyway to drop off their organic or their yard waste, and they're bringing their organics with them during the summer months. And in the winter, because we see very little yard waste coming in and just organics and maybe a little bit of brush, that number is not going to impact any, you know, the capacity of our site. So, you know, really the thing that bumps us on pushing the limits of our site is when we have one of these falls where you just don't get a really decent weekend for people to rake, and all of a sudden you get a beautiful weekend and everybody's doing it at once. Then you get the traffic that's lined up around the corner. And this past year we really didn't see that either, and we've noticed that things just kind of flowed in evenly. But as far as adding the organics to the collection, we haven't really been able to notice any impact.
Okay.
Are there communities, individual communities that are doing, to your knowledge, residential collections now in the Twin Cities?
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Ruzak, yes, there are communities that are doing standalone collection, which would be a container that is not monitored. It's 24/7 accessible. McAllister, Groveland, and St. Paul has a what you'd call an enclosure that at one time they actually had a combination, and you would subscribe to get to that combination to be able to use this. And so that is the only community in the county we're aware of that has that type of collection. I believe, White Bear Lake has it as part of their organized collection contract with Trojes, and I'm not sure if they have actually implemented that or not. I think it's an option on North St. Paul's organized collection contract, and possibly even Little Canada, I'm not sure. But what I should mention at this time is that last July, the county board gave us permission to install up to 6 of these standalone locations around the county. And we're still looking for sites. We've got a couple identified, and we're working on one in the Como Park neighborhood currently. And again, it would be similar where everything would be enclosed so you couldn't see the container, and then there would be some sort of a combination to gain access to it, but at least it would be available 24/7. Another spot we're looking at right now is Lower Town in St. Paul. A lot of on-foot and bike traffic in that area, so a lot of people being able to probably walk from the townhouse, or I should say the flats and the townhomes and the apartments to that location, utilize that. And actually, we're looking for something up this direction, so if you have any ideas, please let me know, because it would be nice to have something in the area here. And the county would work with the municipality or whoever would be the property owner to develop that location, pay for the hauling, pay for the development of the enclosure and the containers and everything. It would just be a matter of siting it and have some sort of agreement that, we're in some sort of partnership to have it on a location.
How is your, any complaints? Obviously, in the winter, there's probably none, but your animal security and your smell complaints?
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Prudhomme, the only animal we've noticed, and I never saw this coming, that has been an issue is squirrels. And it's only in the winter because we're not there enough to frighten them or to keep them at bay during a regular operations time. You never see them during the summer, but in the winter, because we're only open on weekends, they will try, like you wouldn't believe, to try to get into that container. And that's the only animal I guess we've seen, and I haven't seen any other rodents or mice or larger animals around the containers. Again, there's no access to them because of the covers and so forth. But we have seen squirrels. And I guess as far as odor goes, in the summer months, on site next to the container, again, right next to the container, the site workers have said, oh yeah, you can get some days there that are pretty ripe. I mean, it's serviced once a week, but sometimes the stuff that's coming in might be a week old before it gets to us, and then it's sitting in that container and the heat, and so there are odors associated with this as expected. And I think without the biodegradable bag and having it contained in those, it would be an awful lot worse. So the bags take care of most of the issue, but that's not to say that you can have some issues with the container in the summer. But it's nothing that's causing people to not want to use the container. Nobody's commented that they're not going to do this again because they don't want to walk up to the container because it smells, and none of it's moving off-site or creating issues, off the site itself.
Have you guys ever looked at any kind of odor control on these containers or not?
I guess no, we haven't. We have, again, the whole idea was the biodegradable bags and odor control. The other issue or other thing we have to control that would be the hauler has on the vehicles, when they feel that it's time to rinse the containers, there's actually pressurized water on these organics hauling trucks. And so as they tip the container into the front loading truck, it flips the lid open and you can see all the way up into it, and then they hose it down with these pressure washers to clean it out. So that helps a little bit with the odor control too, but it's a matter of, every week you'd have to be putting something in it to, I guess, knock the odors down, and I don't know what that would be.
Well, I mean, obviously, the township site is somewhat remote, but if you're looking to go closer into town,
Right.
it's going to be an issue coming down the road.
And, we've I guess, observed that too with the Mac Groveland facility, or the kiosk that they have set up there. They really don't have the issues there to where even that is in a parking lot right off Grand Avenue and the Patagonia parking lot right off Grand Avenue next to McAllister College. So it doesn't go too far beyond the, maybe 5-10 feet from the container. And so as long as it's serviced regularly, I think that's probably the best thing you can do to contain the odors on it.
So the odors that we're talking about here are pretty well localized right around the immediate container itself.
Chair, correct.
Even though it's a remote site, there's still neighbors out there.
Right.
Tom, you're not aware of any comments, complaints from the neighbors?
No, I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Any other questions?
Other than utility commission gonna look at this?
Yeah, the zoning certificate said the information be provided to the planning commission and utilities commission, so we've provided John's report we'll provide that in our future packet.
Okay. Okay. Tom, there's no real action item tonight other than receiving the report then, and we're satisfied that business continues as usual.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to receive the report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? John, thank you very
Thank
much. Sounds like a good program that's catching on and working well. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we move to new business in area number 7, and the first item there is a building inspector report.
All right, we have construction activity for final numbers for 2015. First on the list here is dwelling units. Total of 10 dwelling units in 2015. Valuation of construction, just over $2.5 million in evaluation. Compared to 2014, there were 7 new dwellings constructed, at just under $1.8 million in evaluation. Miscellaneous residential permits. There was a total of 844 permits, just over $9 million in evaluation. Compared to 2014, 320 permits, $2.9 million in evaluation. Commercial construction in 2015 was pretty light, 15 permits with the valuation of $642,000. Compared to 2014, there were 17 commercial building permits issued at $8.8 million in evaluation. Which brings the totals for 2015 at 877 permits, just over $12 million in evaluation. Compared to 2014, 344 permits, $13.6 million in evaluation. In your packet there is a chart, the last 11 years of construction, total numbers of permits for each year. 2015, significant jump over the last 11 years. Next in your packet, this is number of permits set up in quarters, each quarter listed. As you can see, they're pretty consistent throughout the year, each quarter. The fourth quarter of 2015, 73% was building permits, just less than 1% electrical, 10% of the permit revenue is mechanical, 6% plumbing, 1.5% utilities, and 9% zoning permits. I have some statistics on business license within the township. Again, you have a 11-year graph here, showing the number of licenses issued by the town for businesses in the township. 2015, we had issued 103 business licenses, 14 non-compliant, 16 vacancies, and 2 were classified as other uses. Finally, the vacant building registration, its inception into the town ordinance. Again, 2015, there was a total of 17 registered vacant buildings in the town. That is all I had. If you had any questions?
Yeah, Mike, I had a couple. Going back to the initial construction activity report, you show 709 permits for siding, roofing, and windows. The 709 permits, are those individual permits for each of those activities? You issue a permit for a siding project, and you issue another permit for roofing and another permit for window installations?
Generally, if we will only issue one permit, which can include all 3 siding,
Okay.
windows, and roofing.
The reason I ask, it's so that you have 709 permits issued to township residences. That's a pretty big chunk of what do we have, about 4,200 residences in the township?
Yeah, that is strictly due to one storm that
Okay.
was this spring, which generated a lot of property damage and permits to repair that damage.
Okay. And then the other question I had, for the 2015 vacant building registrations, is there any way to identify how many of those vacancies are extended vacancies for a year or longer?
Yeah, I don't have that information on hand, but yes, we do have that data.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Well, along those lines on the vacant buildings, I know it's been an issue with the town trying to keep these things cleaned up and somewhat presentable. And I know we've talked about this quite a bit at exec meetings, but do we have any other alternatives of putting a fire under some of these banks that are sitting on these things? Or are they just in limbo that there's just no one to even contact to try to get them motivated to get these things off the...
Yeah, it's, it really depends on the lenders. Some of them are pretty proactive in addressing these properties. Others tend to sit for extended periods of time. Currently, right now, there are a few that have been sitting for more than 2 to 3 years, so. And we cannot get any.
Well, maybe this is a question
Communication.
for the town attorney, but do we have any other recourse when when a building's sitting for 4 or 5 years and we can't get any response from owners?
No, not really. Beyond nuisance, that's it. I mean, you could, well,
Could this be a function of ordinance terms and structure? If a property's abandoned or vacant for 2 or 3 years and it becomes a nuisance, does the township have any recourse of condemnation
Well,
or
actually-
something to, or is that something we'll have to discuss and develop and initiate? Or-
well, right now, the ordinance, I don't believe, allows for destruction of homes after a certain period of time, does it, Mike? I don't believe the language that has language of
Yeah,
that
it
nature in
doesn't
it.
have that,
Right.
other than condemnation.
Yeah.
through condemnation.
And, I mean, you always have.
It's
a-
not in the ordinance now.
Well, right now, you do have a nuisance ordinance, and if a
Yes.
building is, if Mike finds a structure to be unsafe, either structurally or for other health reasons, you could order a building to be demolished. You could do it that way. But with the vacant buildings, I think you probably may want to consider following the same path that St. Paul and Minneapolis have followed, in which they don't allow a building, a single family, actually, in St. Paul and Minneapolis both focus on single-family residences. They don't allow a single-family residence to sit vacant for more than about 3 years, after which point they will move to either bring the building, how they do it is this way. Either you bring the building into code. If you don't bring in the code within a certain period of time, normally take about 3 years, they will order it demolished, condemned. And you can do that.
That might be something for us to discuss a little bit, because, and review the ordinance and see if we need to update that, because there's, I don't know how serious the problem is right now, to be honest with you, but I think we're close enough in one or two examples anyway, where we're pushing some of the issues that you're talking about here, and if we need a better ordinance to enforce specific compliance, then let's look at the ordinance.
I think the question you need to consider is how detrimental are vacant buildings to the township.
Sure, that's gotta be part of the discussion,
Right.
sure.
In St. Paul, Minneapolis, their big concern is vacant buildings lead to higher crime rates and, vagrancy. They bring a lot of problems with them. I don't know if the same is true out in the township, but that's the main reason I think that the cities have passed have adopted those resolutions.
But this has a big effect on other residents' property values. I mean, and a lot of these buildings are in need of a lot of work,
Yeah.
and these bank and lenders are holding out for they think they can get their money out of these things, so they're not selling. So this might maybe help them get motivated to at least try to get them off their ledger and somebody to pick them up and start either rehabbing them or fixing them up.
And
But
actually,
if we just let them sit, they're just gonna keep waiting.
the detriment, the effect on the values of surrounding homes, that's one of the considerations that's one of the considerations that St. Paul and Minneapolis have both taken into account, especially North Minneapolis that's been a big issue there, is the effect of abandoned homes have on the value of the surrounding houses, occupied houses. Yeah, it's an important issue. I will point out one thing though: if the home is insured by FHA or VA, you cannot demolish it, because
In any condition?
in any condition. Well, unless it's a point of health and safety, you could do it that time, but you cannot use the vacant building ordinance, such as St. Paul and Minneapolis is to do that. I know that St. Paul was sued and they lost because the issue of the federal government being preempting local ordinances. But that's pretty rare. There aren't many FHA or VA mortgages out there.
Well, not only that, Mike, if you can't hardly get a lender response, or do we even know if these buildings are insured?
Yeah, it's very hard to determine ownership on these properties, and to get open line of communication with anybody.
And I can back Mike up on that from a private standpoint. Talking to, you're dealing with homes in foreclosure or actually been foreclosed on. Trying to find someone to deal with is almost impossible.
That's correct.
But in answer to Ed's question, most lending institutions pretty much have an insurance situation behind it. Forced place mortgages where on mortgaged property for institutions, they have insurance proceeds to protect their interest for whatever their interest is, and that's pretty common. But it's for the basics of, it's not to replace the place necessarily, it's for their loan interests or their valuation interests. So there is some of that, but I agree that we should look at the steps to tighten this up as best we can and proceed.
I believe a stricter ordinance would motivate some of these lenders.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if they're hit with the prospect that if you don't get these things moving, we're gonna take action on them.
Well, our community has told us a number of times that these do hinder them in resale of their homes due to vacancies in their neighborhoods, and it's
Well, yeah,
heard, so.
there's a trend here. It's not a good trend over the last 3 or 4 years of an increasing number of vacancies. And, Mike has been tracking that so far, but if the trend continues up, we're gonna bump into some kind of a limit here. Chad, you mentioned issues, and public safety is certainly one of them. We don't want to find ourselves in a position that St. Paul, Minneapolis have had to deal with unsafe properties. There's real issues about market, neighboring property values, and there's penalties there. They may not be very apparent initially, but they're there. And I agree with Ed. I think we might be helping our own cause if we review the ordinance that we have and see if it should be updated. I kind of suspect it does. And let's confirm what our objectives are here to deal with properties like that, and what are our options, and what kind of incentives motivations can we provide to property owners, whether it's the bank or whoever, to get especially the problem areas dealt with. Mike, I'd like to ask for the next board meeting, if you could just sort out how many of these vacancies are multiple year vacancies. If we're talking about a house that's been vacant for half a year or something, well, that happens, I understand, but after 2 or 3 years, I'd be a little concerned about problems starting to develop. So if you could do that for us, that'd be one place to start. And then Chad, we'll have to visit with you about taking a look at the ordinance, I think.
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? Mike?
I guess we kind of skipped over the 2015, at least I don't think we talked about the code violations. Mike, again, I think 2015 was a good year for us as far as pursuing some of the concerns of the major violations of code violations. But in particular, the grass issue and the inoperable and unlicensed vehicle issues make up a big chunk of the code violations that we show on your graphs. Again, I'd like to see those ordinances reviewed and strengthened if possible so we can address these. These are neighborhood concerns that continually plague us. And I think it would take a lot of the burden off you to have to not deal with these if we can come up with a better solution some way, so.
All right. There are no further questions. Is there a motion to receive the report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Mike. Next item on the agenda is 7B, and that's regarding Public Works.
Yes.
CIP purchases, and we have 2 items to purchase: a replacement of a rounds pickup truck and purchase of fire hydrant modernization kits.
Both mine.
Dale, it's all yours.
All right. Good evening. I haven't been here in a while, but this the first item is related to, as stated, the replacement of number 34 of the rounds pickup. It's a 2011 Ford pickup with a utility box, and I don't know if you can remember, we used to have a van for the rounds vehicle years ago. That was what for the predecessors to the 2011 were, and for safety's reasons and efficiency, we went to a pickup with a utility box, with the understanding that that utility box could be reused on a replacement pickup down the road. And we're at that point for purchasing a new chassis to use the existing utility box on from the 2011 Ford pickup. The proposed replacement is a 2016 F-250 4x4 extended cab pickup. It would just improve flexibility within the public works and operations. The low state contract pricing for the specified pickup is from Midway Ford Commercial for $29,602.70. To accommodate that transfer of the utility box, truck utilities will remove the existing utility box on the 2011 and place it on the 2016 chassis once it has arrived, and install a backup camera for safety's sake on the box for $1,000. So then we would take that, once that chassis is removed from the existing rounds truck, we would take that truck chassis and use it, put a stake bed on it, and use that to haul around skid steer attachments like the milling head, pickup broom, bucket, etc., for street maintenance activities and utility maintenance activities too. That is estimated to be about $3,500 for the installation and the new box and its installation, or the stake bed. So what I'm asking the board to consider is the purchase of the 2016 F-250 4x4 extended cab pickup from Midway Ford Commercial for $29,602.70 is one item, and then approve the quote from mounting the utility box to the new pickup chassis and adding a backup camera from Truck Utilities for $1,000. And both these would be funded from town's capital equipment fund.
Okay.
Questions?
So we have two separate items here to discuss. One is the truck, the F-250, and the second is mounting expense for the box onto that truck. Any questions from the board?
Dale, is this just a vehicle with a single driver, one-man type of deal?
Yes. The typical day-to-day it is. The truck is used for the rounds, is what the well checks, the lift station checks, and then locates and all that. So there's a lot of equipment that has to be carried around in a utility box. And the as-builts and that would be nice to have in the extended cab. That's where they're recommending extended cab this time over a standard cab. Then they can put these plan sheets or plan sets behind them.
Well,
in the
that's where I
cab.
was going with this. That's why I was wondering why, if it's just a single driver, that you need the extended cab.
One,
I don't know what that saves in price nowadays. It's,
I don't know. I don't have a guess on that, but I don't think it's terribly more expensive. It can store marking paint and stuff in the cab, because in the winter months you don't want it in the box because it's not heated. So there's other purposes for wanting that extended cab. Not so much for personnel, but for equipment used in the locating processes and that during the winter months.
so is this thing even ordered with a back seat in it then, or?
Yes, it'll have a back seat.
With the extended cab, there's an additional expense for that, but then does that retain its value better?
I would say your resale is going to be higher on the extended cab.
So Dale, a question, the $1,000, that's for mounting and adding another backup camera?
Yes, and adding a backup camera to it, yes.
Not, that's different than the rear view camera that's in the quote?
No, it's the same thing. Backup camera, rear view camera.
Because it's in the 29, or the, whatever the base price is for $401.
Yeah, hold on here.
On page 109 of the material?
Yep. So that's, yeah, that rear view camera is the same thing as backup camera.
Okay, so that
Sorry.
$401 is part.
Part of
that's-
that 1,000.
So the $600 left is for mounting? No?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was included and then you're getting another one, so.
Oh, we wouldn't get two cameras.
We don't get a forward camera, just a backup camera.
Just a backup
All
camera,
right.
yes.
Now, these items are in the 2016 budget, Dale?
They're in the 2016, 2020 capital improvement
Okay,
plan
and,
and budgeted in that.
And
plan.
these amounts are in line with the budget lines?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, there was, I failed to mention, we had identified 38,000 for,
Okay. So we're
yeah, we're,
noticeably below what was budgeted.
yes.
All right. Okay, any other questions? What's the pleasure of the board here?
I'll make a motion based on the staff review and recommendations, approve the purchase of a 2016 F-250 4x4 extended cab pickup from Midway Ford Commercial for $29,602.70, and approve a quote for mounting of the utility box to the new pickup chassis and adding a backup camera from Truck Utilities for $1,000 with the funding from the town's capital equipment fund.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded to purchase a pickup truck and fund utility box mounting and a backup camera. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, Dale, this is yours too, regarding purchase of fire hydrant modernization kits.
Yes, we have a number of older hydrants within our water system. They're the early 60s. They're the W59 is what the style is. And they have a steamer nozzle that loosens up. It's a leaded in. And we end up wanting to use this modernization kit to remove the barrel, the top barrel section, the hydrant rod that runs down to the valve seat, and the valve seat. All of that is replaced in this modernization kit. So we have 9 hydrants identified for this year to do that. And if you note at the quote that was provided there, they've got different bury depths. So we have to go, the staff has already gone on and measured and identified the hydrants to replace. These are in the south system, southeast, south side of the lake, the Bel Air Beach area down there, or what's the states?
Dale, how many hydrants are we talking about?
This year, 9 that we're replacing. We've got budgeted in our CIP or annually for like that 10 of them a year is what we'd like to do until we get to that point where they're all the modern, the W-fit, away from the old style.
So the kits, okay, I don't understand here. So the kits are going to be installed when?
They can be installed anytime the weather is not freezing
Okay,
temps.
so they are going to be installed this
Yep.
year.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And-
yeah.
And how many fire hydrants will receive these kits this year then?
This year, 9. There's 9 hydrants. 9 hydrants.
9?
Yes.
I thought you said none. I'm
Oh.
sorry. 9
Nope,
fire
9.
hydrants. Okay.
Sorry.
His German's a little rusty.
My ears are a little rusty. Sorry, Dale. Okay. And nothing's been done to these fire hydrants since 1960s?
Other than operating them, for flushing, but eventually the seals wear out and stuff, so it causes problems. And these seats and the same, they can be frozen there. They're sometimes difficult to remove to put the new seat in, but we've got some equipment that we can do that.
Dale,
now
do you
with.
talk with the fire department when you're doing this stuff, just so you make sure we're keeping in with what their equipment attaches to, and we're not having to replace this in 5 years because they changed their system?
The fortunate thing for me is I've got 2 firefighters in the public works department, so and one of them is doing the hydrant replacement. So
Okay.
he's very happy that we are replacing these hydrants with the modernization kits.
And again, this expense is in the 2016 budget.
The 2016, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? What is the pleasure of the board?
I'll move based on staff review and recommendations that we approve the purchase of the fire hydrant modernization kits from HD Supplies. This is in the amount of $21,150 with the funding from the water fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to purchase fire hydrant modernization kits. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next 2 items are town engineer items, and item 7B is regarding lift station number 3 rehabilitation. And Jim, you're looking for authorization to prepare plans and specs?
Correct. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the township has 10 lift stations. We have already rehabilitated 6 of them. This would be the 7th one. Lift station 3 is the one we propose to do. It was installed in 1971, and it has reached a point where all of its components are obsolete, and the functioning, reliability, all that is a concern. This is part of the Public Works Rehabilitation Program. This lift station is located on Bald Eagle West. The area is north of County Road H2. There's 2 photos in your packet. You can see, and in regards to our sanitary sewer line, this is standing on Bald Eagle West, where, in looking to the west, that's the open space behind the lift station, and it's a string of homes to the south. The second photo shows inside, and this is our structure where we have a dry well structure. So that's where it sticks out of the ground. In that component that's underneath, that's where the pumps are and the functioning components. In front of that, you see a casting in the ground, and that's the manhole where everything flows through. So previously, you had the pumps separate from where the flow is of the sewage. Through this process, what we are going to do is evaluate the ability for capacity, for ability to convert this, as we have our other lift stations, into a system that is a wet well system, where the pumps actually are in your sanitary manhole. We also will evaluate the need and the ability to then convert the structure that holds the pumps currently as additional capacity in there. You can see the components for all of our SCADA system, the telemetry. Those will all need to be upgraded to the current system. So we have a lot of components to go through on this and determine what will be the best for the longevity of the sewer system. We'll work with Public Works with those decisions on pump sizes, of being able to convert the pump types, and what we need for flows and everything through that system. Once again, we have a tiny site that the lift station is located on. We will improve the area. The fence will be taken down. The driveways, all that will be removed and increased to what basically will provide, hopefully, the ability to have both a truck and a vac truck pull into these sites for doing the maintenance work, as we have on the last lift stations. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we can get that done, so we can come back to you with plans and specifications and have the construction done yet in 2016. Tonight we are asking for authorization of $29,600 to go through that plan and spec process. That will basically cover all the components dealing with what we will be able to do for the new system, with all the power and everything to the site. This would be funded through the sewer utility fund, and so will the entire project with construction as we move forward. Again, this is already part of the Public Works Rehabilitation Program.
Jim, will this one end up looking similar to then, was it number 5 on H2 that we
Correct.
just did? So that look is what you'll have when this one's done?
Right. Same thing with 7 Otterview Trail. I mean, basically, all these had the fenced areas and components kind of plugged in. All those will be removed. We'll evaluate just what we do regarding the structure that's poking out of the ground. But we'll bring that back to you with the decision on that. But it will be basically a flat surface driveway, manhole, and you will have a new control panel that will stick up. And the pole for the antenna was about all that'll be above ground.
This might be a leap, but I noticed on the interior, it looks like the concrete's cracked around the manhole. Is it possible that this could maybe fit into some of the I&I program?
We did go through manholes and stuff, but
I mean, I don't know if it's, maybe a portion of the cost could be credited towards it, or obviously that's not, wouldn't be the whole project. but-
yeah. Through our current evaluation, we did not have any real issue with that structure as you see it. It's the pipes leading up to this area that has been our cause of infiltration.
But we have this one, this project, and then 6 more, I believe you implied.
This is the 7th of 10, so we'll have 3 more.
Oh, three more,
Yeah.
okay.
We're nearing completing the stations here. in the near
But I had
future.
the same question that Ed did. Is there any indication that these upgrades and improvements would improve our possible I&I,
I mean, we're
I
doing all
don't call
that,
them violations,
we're
but
doing all that
issues.
work with the relining on that
Yeah.
area, so I just didn't know if that would tie into it or not.
Yeah, at this point, the lift station site, we do not have the issues that we have in the surrounding area.
Swing and a miss.
Well, there's 3 more sites to go.
That was a nice try.
All right, okay. Any other questions? Comments? Is there a motion to address the request here?
I'll move based on town engineer recommendations that we authorize preparation of plans and specifications for the rehabilitation of lift station number 3, set a cost not to exceed $29,600, and the funding coming from the sewer operating fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motions, excuse me, motion's been made and seconded to authorize preparation of plans and specs for lift station 3. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 7D. That's regarding the 2016 sanitary sewer lining project on Overlake Avenue. And again, that's the town engineer.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, last fall, we did some bidding for lining of the sanitary sewer systems. We did approve a portion of that right by this lift station 3 that goes for the line from H2 up towards this lift station. This is the second component of that. This is the area on the east side of the lake, Overlake Avenue. This is the portion which comes from the county parking lot area towards the residence to the west. This is all just mainline pipe. There are no homes or anything connected to this line. We did receive bids on January 13th. We had 4 bidders, and the low bidder was In Situ Form at $35,963.25. Fissure Sewer was second. They were the ones that got the bid last fall. We were very pleased with the bids. The amount of these bids were what we anticipated, and actually were slightly less than last fall on this portion. We want to keep this going. This is part of our $70,000 a year to deal with the infiltration. This is another stretch through which our televising showed some significant leaks in the pipe, so we think this will be a great improvement to the system so that we're not treating the infiltration that is occurring out here. As part of this activity, we also rehabilitate the manholes that are in that stretch. So this will be a good project and something that'll definitely highly improve our system in that area. We're looking for both to award the project for In Situ Form and also to authorize the construction services for an amount not to exceed $8,950. All this would come from the sanitary sewer fund.
So the construction services request is in addition to the 35,963.
Correct.
There it is. Okay. Jim, who did the lining on the south shore?
Lametti had that lift
Okay.
station project. So we have actually 3 different contractors for each of these. They've all been bidding all of the projects.
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions, comments? Is there a motion from the board? There's 2 requests now. One is going to be to receive the quotes and then to
And
grant
award
the
it.
award. And then the second request is for approval of construction services.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion based on the town engineer's recommendations, receive quotes and award the contract to the lowest base bidder in situ form for the bid of $35,963.25, with funding coming from the sanitary sewer fund for that.
I'll
And-
second that motion.
Okay. Why don't we make them 2 separate motions then? So the motion's been made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Is there a second motion?
Second motion to have TKDA perform the construction services for an amount not to exceed $8,950, with the construction engineering costs be paid through the sanitary sewer fund.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda is 7E, under general business, and that is regarding a water efficiency grant. Who has that? I guess that's Bill.
On page 124 of your packet is a correspondence that the town received from Metropolitan Council regarding the grant that we applied for through the Water Efficiency Program. This is to replace fixtures in residential dwellings to reduce water use. The town applied for a grant of $24,000 and received the grant. And incidentally, as we learned today, there were $340,000 in grant funds available this year. All were awarded to 19 different applicants, 11 of which are in the Northeast Metro Groundwater Management Area. And they said they weren't targeted, they just were the best applications. Let the board know that the town has received this. The next step in the process will be to receive a grant agreement, a legal grant agreement, and have the town review and hopefully approve that. And then we proceed with advertising our grant program. Basically, it's reimbursement for individuals in the township that replace toilets, washing machines, and irrigation system controllers.
Would rain barrels fall into that category?
No, that's not one of the things that we applied for.
Do they put out a specific list of these, or is that the only ones, for consideration for appliances?
That's all we applied for.
Okay.
Incidentally, the program that we applied for is identical to the one the city of White Bear Lake applied for, and they've been notified that they received their grant application, was received and approved as well. So we're planning on promoting our programs together.
So, Bill, when do we start that promotion then?
We've already started. Now, a news release or a story was included in the White Bear Press in this week's edition, and we received 5 calls in the office today already. And we don't have the grant agreement approved yet because we haven't received the grant form, or the grant agreement form, but we're informing those interested that they can follow up. We'll be providing information through our utility bills on our website, cable television, and Facebook.
So,
We don't have to match that amount, do we?
No, yeah, our match was, this is a 3/4, so our contribution is about 8,000.
Okay, well, the way it read here, municipality matching funds, so I didn't, it's a little hard to comprehend what they meant there.
Their grant cannot exceed 75% of the total project cost, so we're
Okay.
responsible for 25.
So who, for our monitoring purposes of this process, who's the lucky person that gets to deal with this?
Karen is
Karen
handling the public relations part, the coordinating. Mike will be handling the inspections, and finance will be handling the finance.
Finance will be handling the estimations of gallon, I mean,
Yeah,
they're not,
they'll be tracking it.
okay.
so
And so at this point, this is just to acknowledge the receipt of this correspondence.
So township standards and guidelines are still being developed then to award the grants.
Yes,
And they're based on Metropolitan Council guidelines.
yes.
Okay, okay. So right now, so are you gonna, is staff gonna come back to the board with a description of that grant program and how it's gonna be administered?
Yes,
Okay. So right now, we're just going to be receiving your report tonight then.
yes.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to receive the report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, item 8 on the agenda is the organizational part of the meeting. Every year we go through this. It's an annual exercise to appoint various individuals to positions in the township. So the first item is to make town board appointments for the chair and the vice chair.
I would move to appoint Robert Kermes as town board chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Is there a motion to appoint the vice chair? I would move that we appoint Ed Perdon as the vice chair.
Second that?
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next position is to appoint the clerk treasurer.
I would move to appoint Bill Short as clerk treasurer.
Is there a second?
Second?
Do we have to close these nominations, by the way?
No, you don't need to.
Motion's been made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 This is also a 10-year program for Bill?
Yes. At least. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Is there a motion to appoint the finance officer and deputy treasurer?
Motion to appoint Tom Kelly as the town's finance officer, deputy treasurer for the upcoming year.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the next area of appointments is township officials, and the first position is to appoint the building official, code enforcement compliance official.
Move to appoint Mike Johnson for that position.
Mr. Chair, what I wanted to point out is last year, you made all of these appointments with one motion. And Prudhomme made it. So at the bottom of page 127, you can see how you did it last year.
And you can do that because you're not making motions to appoint yourselves to any positions.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you, okay.
Stating that, then I would move Mike
Yeah.
Johnson as building official, code enforcement officer, and compliance official. I would move to appoint Honorable Harry Crump as hearing officer. This is for administrative fines. I would move to appoint Bill Short as economic development coordinator. I would move Dale Reed as public works director. I would move Tom Redessel as town planner. I would move Tim Vadnais of the White Bear Lake Fire Department as fire marshal / fire chief. And I would move to appoint Tom Redessel, Pete Tholen, and Joel Ryle as assistant weed and tree inspectors.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion is made and seconded for township officials' appointments. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 8C, and that's regarding advisory commission liaison appointments. The first position, now these we have to do by individual.
You should, because, yes.
All right. So the first position is to appoint the park board liaison.
I would move to appoint Steve Ruzek for Park Board Liaison.
And I'll second that. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next appointment is for the Planning Commission liaison. I'll move that Ed Perdon be given that appointment.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next appointment is for the Utility Commission liaison.
I'd move to appoint Bob Kermes as Utility Commission Liaison.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next appointment is for Public Safety Commission liaison. I'll move that Ed Perdon be appointed to that position.
I'll second it.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. The next appointment is for the Economic Development Advisory Board liaison.
I'd recommend or appoint Bob Kermes for that position.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. 8D is appointment of representatives to various organizations. And again, we'll do individual appointments on this one, I guess. So the first one is to appoint the representative and alternate to the Ramsey County League of Local Governments.
I'd move to appoint Bob Kermes, and an alternate would be Steve Ruzek.
Second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next, that passes. The next appointment is for the representative and alternate to the Minnesota Association of Townships.
I'd move to appoint Steve Ruzek in that position, and an alternate would be Bob Kermes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of those appointments, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next appointment is for the representative to the Vadnais Lake Area Water Management Organization Board of Directors, and I'll move that Ed Perdon receive that appointment.
You know, we don't have an alternate listed, and it's come up a couple times where you've had to fill in. You think we should have something in?
That's a good idea.
Well, I would recommend that we alternate as you.
That'd be fine.
I'll second it.
All right, motion's made and seconded for the Vadnais Lake Area Water Management Organization. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next appointment is to the Vadnais Lake Area Water Management Organization Staff Alternate. And we have two positions there, or two names there, I'm sorry.
Motion to appoint Paul Peterson to the Vadnais Lake Area Water Management Organization and staff alternate as Tom Redizel.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor of those two appointments, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That appointment passes. We need two names for the, to be appointed to the Ramsey Washington County Cable Commission as a member and an alternate.
I move to appoint Ron Den as commissioner and the alternate as Luke Michaud.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next appointment is to the White Bear area, to represent the township at the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce and an alternate.
I'll move to appoint Bob Kermes as the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce with the alternate as Bill Short.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The last appointment is for the Rush Line Corridor and also to appoint a staff alternate.
I move to appoint Bob Kermes as Rush Line Corridor, and the staff alternate, I move to appoint Tom Redessel.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we have two appointments to the White Bear Lake Conservation District Board of Directors.
Mr. Chair, what I'd like to point out is those appointments are just sort of acknowledgements. They're already, appointments were made and their terms run through 2017.
Okay. Well, then we'll just recognize that they're still in that
Yes.
position.
Yep.
All right, then we move on to item 8E in the agenda, and that's the appointment of 4 professional services. And the first appointment is,
We did them as a group last year.
Again. at
oh,
this-
okay,
this
all right,
point,
we have several of them, so they're listed on page 134 of the packet. So is there a motion to appoint those names to those positions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ask the town attorney, is that adequate?
That's
motion?
adequate.
Okay, we've got a good reference here, and it's detailed, and it's complete. Those in favor of the motion to make those professional services appointments, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 8F is to recognize or to adopt Robert's Rules of Order as the rules to conduct town board meetings.
I make a motion to adopt the Robert's Rules of Order as the official rules of conduct for town board meetings and appoint the town attorney as the parliamentarian for the town board meetings.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. G is to identify official posting places for White Bear Township. And again, that list of posting locations is listed on page 140 of the packet. Is there a motion?
Motion made to approve the designate the following places as the township's official legal posting places as outlined at page 140 of our material.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded for the posting places. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 8H is to identify the official newspaper for White Bear Township. Is there a motion?
So moved, noting it is the White Bear Press.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 8I is to establish and identify meeting dates for the town board and to also ratify EDA meeting dates.
I'll move to set the first Monday of each month as the regular town board meeting date and set the third Monday of each month as the special town board meeting date unless otherwise designated by the town board, with meetings to be held at the Heritage Hall, 4200 Otter Lake Road, beginning at 7 o'clock PM. Set the fourth Friday of each month as a date for the town board executive meeting unless otherwise designated by the town board, with meetings to be held at the township administrative offices, 1281 Hammond Road, beginning at 12 o'clock noon, and ratify the EDA action to set the third Monday of each month as the regular meeting, date for the Economic Development Authority meetings unless otherwise designated by the town board, to be held at Heritage Hall, 4200 Otter Lake Road, beginning at 6:40 PM.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor of the meeting schedules as identified, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8J is regarding meeting date conflicts, to reschedule meeting dates that conflict with recognized holidays. Okay, we've got, well, initially here we have 2 town board meetings and 2 executive board meetings.
July 4th when you were in.
Yeah. Bill, do we have conflicts to move the July 4th meeting to Friday, July 8th?
I don't see why. Pardon me, to move the regular meeting of the town board to a Friday night.
Yes. Or the PSC is otherwise, the Public Service Commission is otherwise scheduled for the Thursday before that. But in July, is there a possibility that agenda may be
Except for that's usually when they set up for Night to Unite in August.
That's correct.
Okay.
So that might conflict if we try to
Okay.
move that one.
Well, is there a possibility you could move it to just for that one, only to a Tuesday? That's the Public Service Commission,
Oh, the,
Public safety?
Public Safety, excuse me.
Now, on occasion, the town board has had the second Monday. Is there a reason why the Monday, the 11th, wasn't considered?
You'd have 2 weeks in a row,
Yep.
or would you have to move the last
I
one?
would say a Friday night might be unusual.
Well, especially in the holiday month, or that holiday week.
well, that whole holiday week is gonna be problematic for somebody,
Yeah, that's true.
so.
So-
Well,
I-
Monday,
Again, I don't have the conflict, that just seems to, committee meeting might be easiest to move to a Tuesday versus the Thursday for 1 month. Is it,
That's true. It all depends on how persuasive Ed can be. With the public
Oh,
safety
so now I'm the bad guy.
it's, well, and we don't have to resolve this tonight. We are identifying an opportunity here.
That's a great position to take. This can be reviewed by the Public Safety Commission at their next meeting to see if they'd be willing to.
Maybe we want to,
Trade.
maybe we just want to identify that July 4th will not be a town board meeting.
I'll move that.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. No, those in favor of clarifying that, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have 2 executive board meetings. Oh, I'm sorry, we have another town board meeting identified for Monday, September 5th, and we suggest moving that to September 7th. Okay,
I'll move to reschedule that meeting.
is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? We have 2 executive board meetings with conflicts. One is for the November 25th exec board meeting. That's the Thanksgiving holiday, so there's a suggestion to move that to November 18th.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And finally, we have a meeting, executive board meeting scheduled for Friday, December 23rd, and the suggestion is to move that to December 16th.
I'll move to reschedule those dates.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That meeting passes. Item 8K is appointment of advisory board and commission members. And this is also an opportunity to recognize service of these folks, so I think it would be reasonable to take the time to just identify names that we currently have assigned to the boards.
And this, again, this.
And these people have, and all these members have already been appointed,
Correct.
so we're not reappointing anybody, but
It's just acknowledging.
yeah. So I'll start with, I'd like to make a motion to recognize EDA members for their participation and contributions. Scott McCune, Paul Kelleher, Beth Artner, Robert Sherman, Thomas Horak, and Dave Zinschlag. Is there a second?
Second.
And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And is there a motion to recognize park board members?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to recognize the following park board members: Charles Chuck Archer, Eric Peterson, Scott Lombardi, Patricia Lee, Dawn Kennedy, Peter Nasvik, and Steve Swisher.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the planning commission members?
I'd like to move to recognize the following planning commission members. It would be Ronald Albrecht, Ronald Den, Beth Artner, Jerry Mahoney, David Kotelnick, Bill Patrick, and Mark Griffin.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of recognizing the planning commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The public safety commission members?
I'd like to move to recognize the following public safety commission members. It's Stephen Lee, James Lynn, Patricia Posney Stedman, Sandra LeBlanc, Richard Buchner, Ron Hawkins, and Jan Timmers.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
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 And I'd like to make a motion to recognize the utility commission members who are Paul Grosjean, Nancy Pearson, Trent Bernstein, Dennis DeLoche, Scott McEwen, and Sylvia Hess.
I'll second it.
Is there, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And we also have two organizations we'd like to recognize that provide services for the township, public services for township and township residents. That's the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department and the White Bear Lake Fire Department.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that completes the agenda, except for item number 9, and we're going to go into closed session to discuss labor contract issues. So this means we turn the TV off.
Just the audio, I think, don't we?